everybody. My name is Lamaria. This is my first attempt at sitting in front of a camera and just talking. This is so far out of my comfort zone, but I've realized that when God is pushing you to do something, you don't ask questions, you don't hold back, you just go and you do it. So, with that being said, bear with me. I'm a little nervous, I'm a little camera shy. I love taking pictures, but talking in front of a camera, and especially talking in front of a camera knowing that people are going to be listening, is actually like super anxiety inducing and very scary for lack of better words. But today I just want to talk about what it looks like, just exactly what I just kind of brought on here is just what it looks like to walk in the midst of fear. So I don't want this to be cliche. I know that a lot of people do things nowadays just because it's a trend, it's something that everybody's talking about or what have you, but I really want to talk about this because it's something that I've experienced firsthand. It's something that I'm constantly fighting against. If I'm being completely honest, this is going to be a very honest video. I'm going to make myself a lot more vulnerable and a lot more honest across the platforms on which I post. And so, yeah, just the topic of fear, this doesn't necessarily have a structure. I have no script. I literally just plopped down and I was like, let me try this. If it turns out nicely, and if I don't sound like I'm jumbling over my words too much, and if I feel like, it's really getting a message out that people need to hear, then I'll post it. And if you're seeing this, then you know that I posted it. So yeah, just the topic of fear and what it looks like to move in the midst of that. So I don't even know where to start, honestly. But I've made a lot of moves in the midst of fear, a lot of moves that I might have gone back and forth about, or really talked to God about, in the sense of like, God, why do you want me to do this, or why is this something that I feel the need to do? And I've done it. From moving 4 hours away from home, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you come from a very close-knit family and you're very close to the people that you love and care about, it can be a really hard thing to do. And then to move while still in a pandemic. So I moved from home. I went home after I graduated, because the year that I graduated was the year that COVID-19 became a pandemic. And so I was home for the year 2020, and I was thinking about taking a gap year after graduation anyway. I didn't know what I would be doing in that gap year, but God said, I got something. You're going to be at home, you're going to be getting yourself together, you're going to be saving. And honestly, it was a great thing, especially with the pandemic being such a barrier for a lot of people and such a downtime for a lot of people. It was really good that I was able to go home and be surrounded by family, be surrounded by what I feel is my community, and to be able to save and not really have to worry about finances or anything like that. So it was really a blessing to be able to do that. And so I'm trying to figure out where to move next, but essentially in 2021, I knew that I wanted to go back to school. I didn't know what exactly it was that I wanted to do, because I had decided that law school, which was my original plan, might not be best for that time. I still applied. 2020, that was another thing I was doing. I was studying for the LSAT. If you don't know, the LSAT is the law school admittance test, or law school admissions test. Yeah, law school admissions test. And that's essentially the test that you take to submit your scores for law school admission. And now, like, the GRE is something that is also accepted by a lot of schools. So the LSAT is what I was studying for. I was studying really hard. I paid a lot of money to take a class to be able to take the LSAT. And so I did that, and I realized it didn't feel right. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm still gonna apply to law school. My LSAT score wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, but I knew that, I could at least give myself a shot. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't exactly what I knew I wanted it to be in order for me to have a good shot at the schools that I was really looking at. So I still applied. I did all that, and I also was just like, my background from my undergraduate studies is in education and just like centering youth, centering young people. And so I was like, well, let me look at some education programs as well. And so I did that. I ended up applying to 2 master's programs in essentially education policy. One of those was Georgetown, one of those was Columbia. Long story short, I was accepted and provided with a generous merit scholarship to Georgetown. And this was not in my plans at all, not even something I was remotely considering upon graduating from undergrad. But of course, like I said earlier in this video, God had other plans. And it's amazing because DC is a place, if you don't know, Georgetown is in DC. DC is a place that, I considered at some point moving to. I didn't know how that was gonna happen, what that was gonna look like, at what phase or stage of my life. But I knew that I enjoyed like the city life. I knew that that was something that I wanted to really experience on a larger scale because I'm from a smaller, city, a smaller area. And I grew up in like a rural area and then transitioned to a more suburban area within my city. And so I wanted to experience a bigger city. I went to undergrad at UVA, which is in Charlottesville, Virginia. And that's kind of a step up from where I'm from in terms of size and what it looks like overall, what the environment looks like. But I knew that I wanted to experience, especially in my 20s, I wanted to know what it felt like to live in the city and to have that experience and experience that life. So I prayed about it and I was like, I don't know, it's still a pandemic, but God has granted me this opportunity. He's provided the resources financially. It all makes sense. I hadn't been to DC a whole lot of times, but I've been there enough to know a little bit about it. And I have some family here as well who are able to kind of guide me in the direction that I needed to be in terms of finding a place and all those logistical things, and just vetting me around the environment and everything like that. But I was scared. I was facing some really serious scares health-wise, which I didn't realize until after I had already planned to move to DC. But I think everything is always strategic from God's end, and so I knew that regardless, everything was going to be okay, even when it didn't look like it. And so yeah, that was one big move that I made out of fear. Well, I didn't make it out of fear, but I did it in the midst and in the face of fear. It ended up being one of the best decisions that I made in the year 2021. Going to school, getting my master's, met some amazing people. The residency placement that I had and that I was working during my master's program, I was very blessed to receive an opportunity to be a full-time employee there. And so I'm still in the DMV area, and I now work a full-time and permanent position, doing work that I really enjoy doing and in my field. And so that's just one example of what it looks like to move in spite of fear. And I know this is just a really, simple example. At least it seems simple to me now looking back. But it is a very simple but very concrete example of what it looks like to move in the face of fear. There are so many other examples that I have, and maybe I'll share those another time. But I just wanted to get on here and for my first message, because that is a theme that I've seen especially throughout maybe the last 3 or 4 years of my life, as I've emerged into adulthood and emerged into, my mid-20s now. I'm really grateful that God didn't allow me to allow fear to trepidate me to the point of having me become stable, or having me to become stagnant rather. So I'm grateful. And again, I just want to send some encouragement to someone else. If you're thinking about making a move, whether that's, a move from a location, from an area, whether that's a move on your job, whether that's a move in a relationship, whether that's a move from your place of worship, wherever you find yourself worshiping, whether you're still worshiping at home Baptist, bedside Baptist, and you want to transition back into finding a church home, or whether you have a church that you've been going to consistently, but it's just not feeling right and you're feeling like you're outgrowing it. I encourage you to pray, to seek God, whatever that move is that you need to make or that you're scared to make. I encourage you to just seek his face, really get in prayer, get in your word, and allow God to really order your steps. That's my prayer constantly, and that's something that my parents kind of implanted within me, is to ask God to order your steps, and he will do just that. And it might not look exactly how you want it to look. That's what I want you to remember. Because when God orders your steps, it doesn't always make sense, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it, 100%. So yeah, just some encouragement today, and I hope that everyone is safe. I hope that everyone's doing well, and just continue to trust in God's plan, and you will be all right. All right, see y'all.